there's a sort of wind of realization that starts to blow through your life at some point in this process. The wind of realization sometimes feels like a breeze, sometimes it feels like a gale, and on occasion it might feel like a tornado. But it's this kind of natural unbinding that is intrinsic to this process. Unbinding from what? It's unbinding from conditioning, unbinding from trauma, unbinding from identity, which are all the same thing. I think there are mindsets out there, paradigms of healing and so forth, that believe you can remove the trauma from the identity. And there is truth to that to a certain level. But at some level, you see that the fundamental trauma is in the identity. It is in the identity structure. The sense of shame is intrinsic to feeling separate, to feeling like a someone as opposed to other someones. So this sort of wind of realization that starts to blow through, taking a lot with it. But the beauty of it is what it takes with it is the false. What it takes with it is what was never really here, what was never really intrinsic to living truth. And what is left is just reality unfiltered, living truth. And it's such a freeing realization. It's such a freeing recognition that what is natural, what is remaining when the delusion is blown away, little by little sometimes, but it ultimately will make its way out of your life. What's remaining is truly freedom, simplicity, clarity, intimacy, interconnectedness. This experience of interconnectedness, a little hard to talk about. It sounds like a bunch of individual beings all interconnected in some way. It's not really that. It's a knowing of the depth of intimacy to such a degree, to such an infinite degree, that it's very clear that there is no other, in a sense. Not that there's a self either, but the interconnectedness is intrinsic to experience in the same way that intimacy is intrinsic to experience, in the same way that not holding, not grasping, not reifying is also intrinsic to experience. So if you can kind of sense this wind, which a lot of times is a gentle wind, it's actually allowing you to rest. It's allowing you as the practitioner, you as the struggling one, you as the one that's been trying to do it right for so long, to just rest. Just let reality do what it does. It knows what to do. And it does it well. I think Buddhism's clear on one aspect of this, and that is, well, Buddhism's clear on a lot of things, but I want to quote Buddhism in this regard. Talks a lot about clinging, right? Grasping. And that's what prevents us from just letting this breeze blow through and dissolve what is false and reveal what is true, which is a very natural process. It doesn't require our constant effort in doing. But what we don't realize is that the grasping is often effort in the vein of, or effort with the intention of clarifying realization, clarifying experience, clarifying awakening. But the effort is really just a disguised clinging. It's a disguised grasping onto what we think this process is supposed to do for us, or just how it's supposed to look, right? That's the grasping. The grasping is, we could say, spiritual materialism. We could say ego identity trying to co-opt the spiritual process and turning that into a spiritual identity, right? So all of that co-opting and so forth. This is why I point to identity quite a bit, and I think why it's central to Buddhism. It's one of the central points of Buddhism, one of the Dharma seals of Mahayana Buddhism, that you won't find a self. And it's exactly like that. The reason I point to this, the reason I point to identity is because, as I said earlier, identity is very intimately connected to the trauma. It's very intimately connected to grasping. It's very intimately connected to shame. It's very intimately connected to confusion. It's very intimately connected to self-sabotage, parading itself as propagating the self, building up the self. It's a losing game. It's a game you just can't win. You can try, but you'll struggle against it, and you'll struggle against reality. And at some point, you'll just become exhausted. You might try again, but at some point, you'll be truly exhausted of it, and you'll just realize the peace of settledness, the peace of non-doing, the peace of seeing what's what, living what's what, which doesn't mean this kind of non-doing. It means not doing identity. It means not doing delusion, not doing grasping, not doing aversion. It doesn't mean there's no movement. It doesn't mean that there's no activity. There can be a lot of activity and a lot of movement. It doesn't mean that there's no intimacy. There will be a lot of intimacy here. But the key is that it's already here. You're waking up to something, or something's waking up to itself that is already the case. It's not something you produce. It's not something new. It's already here. So you can rest in it. Rest in that knowing that you're in good hands. This realization process isn't leading you to a bad place. It's leading you to clarity, leading you to truth. And there is a pathway to truth, that it's not, no one's trying to fool you. Reality's not out to get you. Life isn't out to get you. And you don't have to try to be the separate one, that figures it all out yourself. You just don't. That one is actually fighting the process without realizing it most of the time.